Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Benchwarmers. It is a Tuesday, not the usual Monday, but I was out of town yesterday, got back pretty late, so I was unable to do the show today, but I'm doing it now. And then we're going to do flip the script like right after I upload, download, save it, and change, and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, if you guys aren't able to catch the show live, you can always catch us on YouTube at Hat-Club. Be sure to subscribe to us, which is a fancy word for follow, and give us a like if you like what you see. What up, chat? What is going on? Anyway, got a few things to discuss before we get into the thick of it. Jersey pickups. It's been a while, and I'm very happy to say that I finally got like a decent amount to show off this week. So, starting things off. The first three all came from one of my friends back in Tennessee. Been buying jerseys from him for years. My name is Eric. What's going on? And just got him in a couple days ago while I was away in Arizona on business, of course, slash going to Vegas. Jared Clark, my college roommate, was up. And I'm gonna show him off to you, Brother Bishop. Everybody's finally starting to trickle in a little bit. So surprised I haven't seen JM1620's name in yet. Got to be around the corner here somewhere. But anyway, first up, did not have this one. Didn't know I necessarily needed it, but hey, it was a smoking good deal. 3 jerseys for under $300. Cannot complain. There he is, JM1620. What's going on, dude? First one is a Detroit Pistons old school Allen Houston. Yes, before he became a New York Knicks legend, Allen Houston was a member drafted by the Detroit Pistons. So that is number one. Number two on the docket are 2 Chicago Bulls. I've basically eliminated the entire red collection for the Chicago Bulls now, with the exception of one goddamn jersey I've been trying to track down forever. I'll tell you about who that is here in a second. But first one up, number 25, the three-point assassin. That, of course, is Mr. Steve Kerr. I have the black version of the Steve Kerr Bulls jersey, but red one was very high on the priority list, trying to eliminate, like I said, the entire red line for Chicago Bulls, which also meant this fella was on the list as well. And that, of course, is number 13, the Thunder from Down Under, Mr. Luke Longley. So shout out to my boy House of Hoops for helping me out, tracking these ones down. The only one I have left to go for the red collection is Ron Harper. I of course have a Ron Harper LA Clippers from back in the day, but like I said, I still need the last red Chicago Bulls, and then I'm done. Then I'm done with the red Bulls at least. And I think I only got like 1 or 2 white ones, maybe 1 or 2 black ones left. So Bulls are coming to a close. Flashfire, what is going on, brother? Good of you to show up for this one. I know you're going to be excited. And then this jersey. This was a $220 purchase. But easily I got it actually at a steal of a price at $220. Whew. I've been trying to find this one since 1996. So I thought I had, for the most part, every Reggie Miller jersey that was ever created. But as of now, I've only got 1 left to go. As of a couple weeks ago, I had 2 left to go. But without further ado, this is one of the very rare, authentic, not replica like I usually buy, but this is the straight up sewn on Flojo style. But more specifically, it's from the NBA 50 years. So it does have the gold NBA logo right there. Shout out to Jerry West. But yeah, pretty solid condition. And I'm loving it. So Reggie Miller, authentic road jersey from the NBA 50 season, down off the list. So the only Reggie jersey I have left to get is the 1995 NBA All-Star Game, the purple one from the year in Phoenix. I've only seen a photo of it once ever, so would be nice to pick up. Because I have the 96 from San Antonio, the teal one, but all I need is the goddamn 95 Reggie All-Star Game Phoenix. Anyway, Sub Diego 619, what's going on, dude? Peace and humpiness, y'all. I'm here for the postseason depression syndrome Padres side patch. I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. Tony Gwynn was a Pacers fan. I didn't know that. Big Show. I do have a Chuck Person Pacers. I definitely do. The Rifleman, as they call him. Anyway, I was debating on, okay, what do I start the show off as my lead story? But legitimately, there was only one answer to this. And that, of course, is in the title, The Battle of the. I feel like is a proper name for what became the. It's funny because we have two candidates right now for game of the year. We have, of course, have the Alabama Georgia game from a couple of weeks ago. We have the Vanderbilt Alabama game from the previous week. And now we have this Oregon versus the Ohio State University. So hence the battle of the University of Oregon. Winner takes all. Winner takes the into the title of their name. College Game Day was kind enough to grace the lovely campus in Eugene, Oregon, Saturday morning. And Sweetie Caitlin Olsen was the guest picker, which I predicted correctly, but it also makes sense on account of the fact that she has a brand new show on ABC. ABC is owned by Disney, which also is ESPN. Cross promotions, baby. That's the way it works. Big Show, you're just a hater, man. I gave it a top 3. But anyway, no surprise here. Kirk Herbstreit took Ohio State. I mean, he was a quarterback at Ohio State when he was going to school there. Lee Corso did not show up, but apparently he had texted Herbie and said he was picking Ohio State. His first love, as he called it, unlike Oregon, which is now his favorite. Desmond Howard, Michigan alumni, smart man, going with the Ducks. Nick Saban, the coach, savvy. Makes sense why he took Ohio State, but and then of course Sweet D and Pat McAfee taking the Ducks. So 3-3 if you want to count Lee Corso's pick in there. So 50% valid. Yeah. But going into this game, Oregon was a 3-point underdog, and just the way we like it. So without further ado, let's get through this. So first things first, still sticking with College Game Day. Always a good time around, of course, throwing up the Sydney Sweeney call me back sign, to which case on brand, Sydney Sweeney with the response, sorry, changed my number. Ha ha. Because that's the kind of love that Oregon gets, because Oregon is a goddamn national brand. Don't you forget about that. But anyway, moving into the actual game itself, these were the goddamn uniforms they wore. And I'm usually pretty skeptical about black uniforms for the University of Oregon. Like, it's not to say that they don't look good. It's always hit or miss whether or not, especially in a home game, if they're going to win the game. Because it's one thing to look good. It's another thing to look good when you win. It's another thing to look good when you fucking lose. And there's nothing more depressing about that, especially considering the fact that most of the football world outside of the Pac-12, RIP, only knows Oregon based on the amount of uniforms that they wear, not necessarily any kind of bowl game victories or any kind of prestige on the football level. So Oregon came out with these. Going back to the steel grate on the shoulder plaids. As you can see, the Jeremiah Johnson jersey behind me, the green with the black. There was also a black with the green version, of course. So this is, of course, Dylan Gabriel. This is what it looks on the field. But more specifically, the calmest I was during this game took place in the tunnel as head coach Dan Lanning was about to lead the team onto the field. And I saw one glimpse of this and was just like, Oregon's gonna win this fucking game. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. This is one of the most badass photos from the college football season, let alone from Dan Lanning's era as University of Oregon's head football coach. Like, the addition of the 3M and the light just hitting it perfectly. Everybody basically blacked out with the exception of the metal grates and of course the numbers and just the overall look and scowl on Dan Lanning's face. Like I've heard nothing but good stories about him of how nice of a guy he is, but when that dude is not smiling, he has a perpetual look like you just talked to his woman and now he's going to take you out to the parking lot and beat the fuck out of you. Um it's a good sign. It's a good sign when that's your coach and this is how your team looks. But without further ado, let's get to the game. Opening drive, of course, for Ohio State should have been an interception in favor of Oregon, but it was not challenged by Dan Lanning and it was not challenged by the booth, which was a clear pick upon slow mo. Uh, even the announcers were saying this should have been an interception, but the referees, the Big Ten referees, disguised as former Pac-12 referees, decided nope, that was a completed catch. Ohio State first down. And that kind of set the tone where it's just like, all right, Oregon's at home. We're not going to get any easy calls whatsoever. I'm okay with that, but it sucked because it should have been Oregon ball. Because, of course, a couple plays later, it leads to a touchdown for Ohio State, 7-0 Buckeyes. Then on to the ensuing drive for Ohio State. Harmon, defensive lineman for the University of Oregon, with the strip fumble recovery, getting that turnover back. So good to put Oregon in a healthy position at this point. So, of course, my friend Jared, or so not my friend Jared, my friend Alex, aka Deuce, and I were at Circa, surrounded by Ohio State fans. I'll give my commentary about this after the game in regard to what it's like to watch a game in Vegas with a bunch of Ohio State fans. You'll be surprised. But anyway, Oregon ball this time. And of course, Oregon with the beauty of a drive of their own. Jordan James, touchdown, 6-7 Oregon. But of course, the ensuing PAT fumbled. And then for whatever reason, Dude Pal just decided to throw a hook shot of the ball to try and make it into the end zone, which would have been a 2-point play. But Ohio State intercepts it and takes it down a pretty good distance before Oregon, thank God, tackles him, because had Ohio State made it the entire distance, it would have been 2 points for Ohio State. But anyway, 6-7. There we are. Beginning of the second quarter, Ohio State with another drive, another touchdown for them. Ensuing drive from Dylan Gabriel for a deep drive. And then more specifically, if you didn't see it, just watch the extra yards that Evan Stewart gets. It's a beauty. But of course, Stewart, Gabriel connection again for the touchdown. And we're talking about the slimmest of margins. Thank God for college football. Players and coach to get that foot in there, make the catch. It is touchdown Oregon. And then, of course, they went for the 2-point conversion and sealed the deal on that. No, they didn't. Sorry, never mind. They did not seal the deal on that. But anyway, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Intentional onside kick, which just completely caught every in the chest of the lineman, of course, for Ohio State, deflects off, and of course, Oregon with the absolute recovery. Unfortunately, on the same drive which followed that, Trayshawn Holden gets suspended or kicked out of the game because of his second unsportsmanlike conduct in basically 2 halves of football. He got an unsportsmanlike the last game, then he got one for this one for spitting in the face of an Ohio State player. Dumb move. But thankfully, Trayshawn Holden's presence in the game did not play an important factor in the game whatsoever. So moving on from there. Oregon this time is able to at least get a field goal out of it. Thank God. 15-14 Oregon at this point. But of course, Ohio State with a comeback drive of their own for yet another passing touchdown from Howard, the quarterback for Ohio State. Now we are going to 21-15. But once again, deep drives and deep cannon shots from Dylan Gabriel just seems to be the story of the game. This time, of course, it was to Tez Johnson, the adopted brother of Bo Nix, because the media always likes to mount for a touchdown. Yeah, baby. I make my apology. They were actually able to complete the PAT, and then there you go. Got the body, got the ball over the plane as he was tackled. Touchdown, Oregon, 22-21 at halftime. It's good to have a lead. It's good to have a lead. Flashfire just straight up saying, Ben, notice how Dylan Gabriel can throw a ball. Yes, I do. And if you remember correctly, when I played as the Ducks against Ohio State for Flip the Script, I threw pretty goddamn accurately and threw some touchdown passes. So get off my nuts. Didn't throw any interceptions. Didn't throw any interceptions that game. So anyway, moving on. Oregon got the ball to begin the second half, and to which case Ohio State was down. So at this point, Ohio State once again leading the game, this time 28-22. Oregon's next ensuing drive, which of course was coming to the closing minutes, 3:37 left in the third quarter. Fourth and goal on the 2-yard line. Lanning and company decided to go for it and got absolutely stuffed. I would have preferred to seen, hey, take the 3 points, but I totally understand the gutsiness of it. I was concerned just because of the fact that Ohio State, essentially in every offensive drive they'd had, with the exception of what should have been 2, because there was the takeaway with the fumble recovery, but then there should have been the interception. But either way, every other offensive drive that Ohio State really seemed to put together in the first half, and of course the early parts of the third quarter, in this case, Oregon going for it like State's just going to come back and score a touchdown. You need to keep scoring touchdowns. Field goals aren't going to do it. But in this case, in retrospect, it probably would have been nice to get 3 points and only be down by 3. However, Oregon gets a stop at the beginning of the fourth quarter / end of the third quarter and drives the field, gets the ball back, forces Ohio State to punt. And Oregon drive is finished off with a Dylan Gabriel 30-yard scramble for the end zone. There you go. Ducks take the lead 29-28. Beauty. But then 6 minutes left. Top them territory. Ohio State kicks a field goal. It is now 31-29. 6 minutes left to go in the game. Plenty of time. Plenty of time for Oregon, but also too much time for Oregon. Of course. But based on the way that Oregon performs their offensive drives, was fine. The unfortunate part is Jordan James getting stuffed yet again, much like the fourth and goal on the previous drive. This time, of course, it was on third down. So now it's fourth and goal at the same spot, the 2-yard line. You're only down by 2 points. Dan Lanning Company does the smart decision, take the 19-yard field goal attempt. Shout out to Atticus Sappington for knocking this one down. So now 32-31 Oregon. Interesting times. Oh no, the other photo didn't show up. There it is. Okay, sorry. I put them out of order. So obviously, Ohio State made some drives, made some plays. Then there was an offensive pass interference, which knocked them back 15 yards. So now here we are with 6 seconds left to go in the game at roughly the 38-yard line in Oregon territory. But how did we get to 6 seconds? Of course, and that is the next photo. Dan Lanning having the wherewithal, after taking a timeout when there was 10 seconds left to go in the game, and sending an extra defender onto the field. So automatic 12 men on the field. However, this is not the NFL. In the NFL, if you're caught with 12 men on the field, it is a dead ball foul. In NCAA football, they will run the play, and that will take some precious seconds off the clock, to which case they will not add the time back on unless it goes down to triple zeros, to which case then Ohio State in this circumstance would have a free shot at a place and essentially. And it was kind of funny because my friend Alex just kept talking to me about it and was just like, you know what would be a really smart move if Oregon on this next play, just all the cornerbacks and safeties just held every Ohio State player, because then all you're getting is a 5-yard penalty. The clock is moving at the point in time when the ball is snapped. And essentially, the outcome of the 12 men on the field was the same result. Just Dan Lanning did it at a much safer and smarter position, just because you risk players getting hurt. And then, especially with the extra defender out there, you're not going to advance the ball, or they're basically just not going to allow Ohio State to advance the ball unless somebody does something really stupid, which was not the case here. So 6 seconds left, one more play to go, potentially, unless Howard can do something with his legs or get a first down, or not a first down, but just get the ball in a better position of field goal territory, essentially, because Ohio State, of course, still had one more timeout. But no, that's not the case. Oregon drives in. For whatever reason, Howard scrambles last second and then takes his knee, or takes the slide to about the 26, 27-yard line. And bam, we got triple zeros. And all hell is breaking loose at Autzen Stadium. That's what it looked like after the game. Holy fucking shit, man. Um, I've been to some pretty exciting games at Autzen Stadium, and most notably the Halloween game against USC, the very first Pac-12 championship game against UCLA. I mean, I was there during the Chip Kelly era, much like my roommate Jared Clark here in the comments. Tone Cruz, not a fan of anything that's going on here, but this was a big game. This was arguably the biggest game in Autzen history. I can't say University of Oregon history, but as far as a win is concerned, you can say that. Yes, it's a regular season game. Oregon's won some pretty big bowl games. Most notably, I would say Rose Bowl against Florida State to get into the national championship, which of course was then a loss to Ohio State. So in big game competition, Ohio State has always consistently had Oregon's number, which is unfortunate. However, the last 2 times they've played with Ryan Day, especially as head coach for Ohio State, Oregon 2-0, baby, undefeated. Took them down in the shoe a couple years ago, took them down at Autzen. And to which case, the other thing that needs to be brought up in this is, there's the final score, of course. Dylan Gabriel, 341 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground for 32 yards scrambling. Jordan James, 115 yards scrambling, 1 touchdown. This is the thing to note. Unless you've been to Autzen, people here in the chat have, I have, obviously. That stadium is loud as fuck. And it may not look like it because it is a 55,000 seat facility. Obviously, in the SEC, the Big 12, etc., the Rose Bowl holds 100,000 people. The Horseshoe holds 100,000 people. A lot of other stadiums do. And you would think, just based on the amount of people that are there, it's going to be louder than Autzen Stadium. I can tell you firsthand it is not. And that's not me being. It has to do in design of that stadium, which is flat out designed to encapsulate all the noise in that place and get in everybody's head. It's exactly like Lumen Field up in Seattle. And this is the only positive thing I'm going to say about 1,000 people in this J that Ohio State fans reacted to it. Ears plugged, and even more ears plugged. And of course, there was a photo of a guy who was texting, basically saying, loudest stadium I've ever been to. It's paused. God damn it. But yeah, the amount of false starts that Ohio State had, Oregon fans, I'm proud of you. The student section, especially for like the last couple years, has really not been on point. But y'all came to play this day. And as a loyal Duck alumni, I'm proud of you guys. I love you guys. You brought the fucking noise. And of course, Oregon did this without their best defensive player, Birch, much in the same sense like Oregon did a few years ago at the Horseshoe without Kayvon Thibodeau. Oregon always seems to find a way. And this is arguably the biggest win, the best win in Dan Lanning's very short tenure, third year with the University of Oregon. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to the Ducks. Go Ducks, baby. Um, as if they don't already have enough five-star recruits coming in, there's only going to be more from this point forward. As long as Dan Lanning stays, he has the potential to not only win one, but potentially multiple national championships. Hopefully, this is the year that Oregon is able to get it done. Of course, from the football perspective, they have 0 national championships, which is always the joke of the O in the center of the field. Oh, how many national championships do you guys have? 0. But Oregon's a track and field school. Oregon's won national championships in basketball, cross country, various other sports. Golf. Golf is a big one. Um, but not in football. And I've always kind of told people, especially during my time there and my time afterward, at the end of the day, University of Oregon is a track and field school, but they're pretty goddamn good at football. So get that chip this year, baby. Get it. And of course, do for Ohio State. Mwah! But the one thing I was going to bring up, as I said, because I watched this game at Circa, to which case watching a game at Circa is incredible. Just because a game of this magnitude, everybody was watching it, so the place was packed. But like I said, my friend Alex and I were surrounded by Ohio State fans, with the exception of one dude. Every Ohio State fan that was around us, sweethearts. I would party with them. I would watch a game with them, no problem. Um, Jared, my roommate in here, he can attest to this as well. Um, he and I went to the Rose Bowl together when we played Wisconsin. So I can't remember if you were there for the Ohio State game, right? There, because then we also went down for the national championship against Auburn. To which case, I will say Auburn fans, surprisingly, incredibly nice as well, incredibly humble. Had a great time down there with them. But Ohio State fans, going back to the 2010 Rose Bowl, to which case Ohio State was led by Terrell Pryor that year, and it was the year that LeGarrette Blount kicked the goddamn football into the back of the end zone, which should have been a touchdown drive. But anyway, um, nice as fuck. Ohio State fans have always been great. Like I said, with the exception of one dude who decided to be a scumbag. Um, Ohio State fans are awesome. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna take a bullet for you guys, but I'll say very kind words for you guys. How about that? I will defend your honor. Um, Michigan fans, on the other hand, it's hit or miss. It's really hit or miss. So, no, Tom Cruise, that one dude, for whatever reason, in the last 10 minutes of the game, just kept yelling annoyingly, "Oh, Oregon's defense is soft and blah, blah, blah. They fucking suck. We should be crushing them right now." And just talking like out of his fucking ass, just unnecessarily. And it's just like, what game are you watching where Oregon's got soft defenders right now? Matayo, dude was a fucking concrete wall getting to the quarterback, getting to the running back. I mean, he was tanked, but needless to say, as the game ended, and I lit up a smoke, I definitely blew him a kiss to let him know I definitely meant business at that point. Um, he promptly left afterwards. So, but every other Ohio State fan that was around us was a big sweetheart. So many drinks were shared. I bought a few rounds just because, hey, no hard feelings, whatever. But the reality of it is, neither team was really going to be dramatically affected in the rankings, which we'll get to here in a second. So let's go on with the rest of the slate for college football. Clemson, easy 49-14 victory over Wake Forest. No big surprise there. Missouri with a bounce back after a bounce back versus UMass. So 45-3. No surprise there when you're fighting, punching bags. in the middle of the season. South for multiple reasons. I'm glad should have won this game. Um, and here's why. So South Carolina scores a touchdown with about a minute left to go in the game. Awesome. Gets the toe in, sideline. Successful. So I'd kick it. And it was a very successful onside kick. Here they get it. 42 seconds left to go. Plenty of time, no timeouts, but it's college. Get some first down, stop the clock, run the line, spike it, whatever. Kick a field goal for Christ's sake to win it. But they couldn't get close enough. And on 3rd and 8, so eventually what would be the last play of the game, South Carolina's quarterback just bombs it out. And Alabama intercepts, obviously. And as you can see, at about the 3-4 yard line of Alabama territory. So then what does Alabama do next? Well, because of his momentum, for whatever reason, the defender who caught the ball ran it into the back of the end zone and was pretty damn close to taking a knee, which would have been a safety, which would have been 2 points for South Carolina to getting the ball back. However, for whatever reason, as you can see here, the wide receiver for South Carolina just stands there and just doesn't do anything. And it's like, tackle him. For the love of God, please tackle him. The other Alabama player had his back to him. So while Dude Pal is, taking a squat basically in the end zone, would have given Dude Pal plenty of time to just blast him, tackle him in the end zone. That's a safety regardless. We got a tie ball game. Going to overtime at least. We out of the end zone and ends the game. Alabama wins 27-25. And of course, we were all pretty positive that Alabama was just going to crush South Carolina just because of the fact that, Vandy embarrassed them on the SEC network the previous week. Weighing on your mind, you're just going to want to go out. Clearly not the case. And my friend Alex and I definitely threw some money on South Carolina in the closing minutes just because, hey, it could happen. But sadly, it didn't. South Carolina loses by 2. Bama gets the win. Wild. Moving on, Army crushing University of Alabama Birmingham 44-10. Notre Dame putting the hurt on Stanford. No surprise there, 49-7. This game, my God. I'm so glad Oklahoma is no longer ranked after this game because why they were ranked in the first place is a fucking comedy. 34-3. Yeah, sure. The 3 points that able to hold Texas to 0 points, but I just went on an absolute onslaught and destroyed the Boomer Sooners. So, bye-bye. Jackasses, man. Jackasses. Why they were allowed in the SEC as well is just beyond me. Should have stayed in the Big 12. Cal, coming off the Miami loss, much in the same sense of Alabama. Hanging a 2-point victory over Cal. Oh, I'm a little pissy about this one. This was a hell of a game and actually has me a little bit concerned for 2 weeks from now. Because Oregon plays Illinois the following week. But 50-49 against Purdue. And guess who Oregon plays this Friday? Fucking Purdue. So either both teams have really shitty defense or both teams have really amazing offense. And Illinois has gotten some big wins so far this year, but obviously Purdue 1-5 should be an easy win for Oregon this Friday. But I'm going to hold reservation until the fourth quarter. So, but Illinois kind of makes me nervous, not going to lie. But they get the overtime win by 1 point. USC. What a fucking garbage program they've become. And it's so hard. USC with Caleb Williams, and Caleb's gone. And what is USC doing against Wisconsin? But still down at one point. The game at home, you can't beat Penn State. Like Penn State ain't that great. Um, they are definitely vulnerable. And it's amazing they've gotten this far without losing. I could have sworn Illinois was going to do it a few weeks ago, but they did not. But USC at least should have done it. But overtime loss, and the reason why the loss happened is USC had the ball first, missed a field goal to take the lead, and so Penn State just needed the field goal to win, and they knocked it down, 33-30, unbelievable. And of course that moved Penn State up to third in the country, which is also interesting. So BYU, Arizona, BYU still undefeated. Love to see it. Storming Mormons, baby. This was a closer game than it probably should have been. And 41-31 Georgia over Mississippi State. But of course, the moment of the game was Ohio State Woody Hayes mowing the quarterback of Mississippi State as he was coming out of the sideline that he had gotten shoved into by Georgia's defender on a scramble. And I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything in regard to reprimands that Kirby Smart should be getting. But I mean, he shoved the hell out of this kid during in that moment. And you can make the argument that, yeah, Kirby didn't see who it was. He was just shoving whoever got in his way out of the way. But even at that, if it was a Georgia Smart was yelling at them, you don't fucking do that. Know this. Like Woody Hayes got fired from Ohio State because he punched an opposing player in the Rose Bowl. Like this is a fireable offense right here. And outside of social media, nobody else is really making a big deal about this, which is kind of insane. So I don't know. We'll just kind of wait and see. But Georgia, for whatever reason, just seems rattled right now. Which is also kind of interesting to see going into this week's game against Texas. But I'll talk about that here in a second. Tennessee barely eking by Florida. Got it done in overtime with a tutty, 23-17 final score there. This was a big game. At Valley, of course, overtime touchdown win on the first play of overtime for them, because obviously Ole Miss scored a field goal, but let alone to get into overtime on a 4th and 5 play for a touchdown to tie the game up against Ole Miss. It was pretty wild. I did benefit financially because of this win, so greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Iowa State took down West Virginia, to which case I'm also going to add West Virginia fans also really nice, really awesome people. There was a big crowd of West Virginia fans at Circa right by us. They wanted Oregon to win, but unfortunately, they couldn't get the job done. Would have been really interesting to see Iowa State get taken down, especially as they jump into the top 10 now. And then Kansas State, what they come from. Buffs are and of course, got to bring up Boise State versus Hawaii, only because Aston Jonty, 217 yards rushing and a touchdown, but then also, if I remember correctly, 20 yards receiving and got a touchdown. So, what is that? 18 on the year for that gentleman. It's going to be tough to see anybody even compete with that in regard to the Heisman this year. But here's a look at your AP top 25. A lot of argument can be said that Oregon should be the number 1 team in the country, and all justifiably so, because of the fact that, well, who was Texas beaten? Yeah, they beat Oklahoma this last weekend, who was ranked 18. Where's Oklahoma now? Not in the top 25. Texas also beat Michigan. Yes, they were a much higher ranked Michigan, but Michigan just got back into the top 25 this week after getting knocked out and sitting at 24. But then you make the argument in favor of Oregon. Who is Oregon beaten? Well, they beat Boise State week 2. Where's Boise State now? Oh, they're number 15. Then they just beat Ohio State this weekend, who was ranked number 2 and only fell to number 4. So why in God's name right now is Texas over Oregon? Zero reason for it other than the fact that they're an SEC team now. If it was the Big 12, yeah, potentially the same BS would still be happening. But Oregon, West Coast bias, always getting clowned on. So it's a long season left to go for when the play come out here in the next couple weeks. And Flashfire asking the question, I have no idea the last time both Army and Navy were ranked at the same time. If I remember correctly, it was like the 1960s. I saw this stat flash up during a game because, I mean, yeah, Army, Navy, as far as being powerhouses of college football and being ranked, I mean, we got to go back that far. So I'll double check. I want to say it was 1968. I could be wrong about that. If somebody's got time to look it up and throw it in the chat, throw it up there. But yeah, man, and then looking over the next few weeks. Next, Illinois is currently ranked 22nd. This weekend for Texas is really where it's going to come into play because they got to play. But Penn State moving up to 3. Yes, they are 1960, October 3rd, 1960. Way to go, Flashfire. I knew I was close on the 60s part. I just, for whatever reason, said 68. I don't know why that came to mind. But in regard to Oregon, Ohio State playing, and the fact that like Oregon would have dropped to 7th. Let's be real, because Miami's still undefeated, and for whatever reason, AP and coaches find Miami and the ACC a bigger darling than Oregon, which I don't understand that at all. Like Oregon actually would have been penalized, but still would have been in the top 10, which is fine. But the fact that Ohio State only fell 2 spots, like we knew that was going to happen. I just personally feel like Oregon would have been penalized a little bit more. So Penn State, of course, a barely squeak by USC win, and they move out to 3rd. So, and LSU back in the top 8. Fuck. It sucks. But anyway, moving on to other sports. Baseball. Postseason baseball, to be more specific. Let's finish off the LDS series. Yankees 3-1 victory, beat the Royals 4 games. Mets took down the Phillies also in 4 games. 4-1 in that last game, thanks to a Francisco Lindor grand slam, of course. Dodgers coming back. And I mean, I'm sorry, Sub Diego, I got to bring this up, but the fact that you go 20 plus innings without scoring a run after just absolutely embarrassing the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium, it's not a good look, brother. It's really not. The Padres had this series wrapped up, and I mean, Dodger fans were ready to throw themselves onto any one of the freeways that jump through Los Angeles after the Padres went up 2-1, only to score 10 unanswered runs in 2 games. That's fucking crazy, man. Move on the LCS for the Dodgers, 3-2 victory over the Padres. And then this game, game 5, Guardians and Tigers. Dude, I was riding with the Tigers. I mean, they scored first in the top of the 5th inning, and then a grand slam later just completely changed the trajectory of the Guardians season. But I mean, all credit to the Tigers. I mean, they held with it. They didn't let that beat them. They also had an opportunity themselves to hit a grand slam, especially behind Kerry Carpenter, who has basically been their offensive catalyst this entire series, as well as during the wild card series. But unfortunately couldn't get it done. So 7-3 victory over the Tigers in game 5. Guardians moved on. So now we are in the LCS series. Here's a look at it. Mets, Dodgers, Guardians, Yankees. And as you can see right there, Dodgers offense still just firing on all cylinders. 9-0 victory in game one. Otani had himself a hell of a game. Betts had himself a hell of a game. Freeman had a hell of a game. Teoscar Hernandez, so on and so on. No offensive pressure whatsoever from the Mets, at least until day two, which was yesterday, of course, where Vientos with a grand slam of his own early on in the game. Final score for that one 7-3. Tied up, going back to New York, 1-1. But unfortunately, the Guardians could not get any kind of offensive output until too late in the game. Juan Soto and, of course, Giancarlo Stanton with home runs for the Yankees. 5-2, the final score there. Yankees have a 1-0 lead, which blows. Need the Guardians, and then whoever comes out of the National League, it's whatever. Guardians, baby. Guardians. WNBA Finals. At least my prediction was correct as far as who was going to be in the finals. New York Liberty versus the Minnesota Lynx. Craziness. It should be 2-0 New York Liberty. Shout out to Sabrina Ionescu. But no, they crumbled in the fourth quarter, which then went to overtime, and the Lynx with a shocking win in New York. 95-93 final score. That was game one. Sabrina busted out her green and gold because go Ducks, baby. Sabrina twos. And definitely was fueled by the Oregon-Ohio State game, as she said in the presser after game two. So we got a tied up series here. 80-66 was the final score. Breanna Stewart, of course, was the top dog behind Lainey Hamilton in regard to points. But hey, series tied up, going back to Minnesota. Let's go, Liberty. Moving on into the NFL. So Thursday, of course, we were still in Arizona. We all flew back on Friday. We had a team dinner, and this game was on. And it was looking like the Niners were just going to straight up just mollywop the Seahawks, but then some boner defensive plays by the Niners just allowed Seattle just stay within this game. But thankfully, Brock Purdy, the poise, as they say, the man's got poise. 255 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns. Jusek with, of course, the game-winning touchdown, or the no, is the put away touchdown to cover the spread, more specifically to ironclad lock the spread, more correctly. But Kittle had 2 in the air. Deebo Samuel had 1 in the air as well. 36-24 final score there for the Niners, both 3-3 in the AFC West. The Bears, Caleb Williams, more specifically, 4 touchdowns in the air, 226 yards. Put the beating over Jacksonville Jaguars in London in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. No real surprise there. The Jaguars look god-awful this year, and I don't understand why. This game, fuck. As a Buccaneers fan, I can tell you I was livid and fueled by rage through the majority of it, especially considering the fact that the Buccaneers got off to an easy 14-0 lead, touchdown drive, and then a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Game was supposedly going to be in the bag because it's the fucking Saints, division rival, and fuck them. So the Saints decided to make this an interesting game, and ended up picking Baker Mayfield off 3 times and then getting some fumbles themselves. And lead kind of went back and forth in the second and the third quarter, which was a bit shocking. And then all of a sudden, the run game that I've been talking about for weeks, that Todd Bowles doesn't fully understand that he has because he's kind of a dumbass. Shout out to Sean Tucker and shout out to Bucky fucking Irving. Go Ducks. Running all over this place. Tucker, 56 in the air with a touchdown, and then 136 on the ground with an additional touchdown, and then Bucky Irving, 81 on the ground with a touchdown as well. All because Rachaad White is out. So that could be the tandem of the future right there. And I ain't mad about it. Baker Mayfield still had 4 touchdowns in the air despite his 3 interceptions, which way to keep moving forward, Baker. Appreciate it. Bucks get the win 51-27, the most points the Saints have allowed, I think, ever. Dude, I was so fucking pissed when the Saints came back. Like, and I was at Stadium Swim and just like trying to keep my shit together. Grabbed the beer, just went in the pool and just bobbed. Just like, fuck this. Anyway, Ravens Commanders was a hell of a game. Ravens, of course, get the win by 7, which is unfortunate because I took the Commanders plus 6.5. Like another field goal for the Commanders would have been lovely. But no, Jaden Daniels looked really good against a solid Ravens defense. And likewise, I would even say the Commanders defense was pretty good with the exception of trying to contain Derrick Henry. But then if you contain Derrick Henry, then you got to worry about Lamar Jackson running as well. So it was very problematic for the Commanders, but only losing by 7, still 4-2 on the year. Packers, Jordan Love, he's back, baby. Back-to-back 4 touchdowns games. Yeah, he had the unfortunate loss against sorry, they beat the Rams last week. That wasn't a 4 touchdown game. Against the Minnesota Vikings, it was a 4 touchdown game. Then they beat the Rams. Now they're beating the Cardinals. 4 touchdowns in the year for Jordan Love, regardless. 34-13. Go Pack, go. Colts squeak by the Titans 20-17. Texans taking down Drake May in his first career start and the New England Patriots. Oh, A-Lab in the house, baby. What is up? A-Lab said, hold on, I got to reread this. He says Brock Purdy's ceiling is Carson Palmer's status. I'm not going to disagree with that because Carson Palmer had some flashes of greatness for a lot of years, but then took a bit of a downturn. So I totally get where you're coming from on that. Except the only difference is Brock Purdy came out of Iowa State. Carson Palmer came out of USC. Fuck USC. But Drake May, despite throwing 2 interceptions, actually had a pretty decent game for his first career NFL start. 38 yards on the ground, 243 in the air, and 3 touchdown passes. But Texans still hold him off by 20 points, 41-21. Eagles slipping by the Browns. The spread in this game was 8.5 points. And the Eagles had so many opportunities to do it. And if I haven't said this before, Nick Sirianni might be the most overrated coach in the NFL today. I'm not going to say NFL history, but certainly in the NFL today. If the Eagles don't do it, which they're not going to do it this year, I hope that dude gets fired. There are very few people that I look forward to their downfall, but Sirianni is just a jackass, man. Just running his mouth, talking shit to fans after the game. It's like, dude, focus on your fucking job for the love of God. Chargers, Broncos. The battle of former Oregon quarterbacks Justin Herbert versus Bo Nix. Didn't start off great. 23-0 Chargers. But then Bo Nix finally got his shit together in the second half and was able to connect with his former Oregon teammate Troy Franklin for his first career reception touchdown. So that was dope. And I'm going to get to that in a second, A-Lab. So 23-16, final score for the Chargers. Raiders starting Aiden O'Connell. It had its moments. There was a moment where the Raiders had a rushing touchdown and they did not review it and then proceeded to fumble it on the next play. But Steelers get the victory 32-13. I know David Kearns is stoked about that one. Falcons, easy victory 38-20 over the Panthers. No surprise there. The Lions, my God. The worst thing to come out of this game was obviously Aiden Hutchinson snapping his fucking femur. Ouch. Or sorry, not femur. His shin bone. Sorry. If it was his femur, that's a whole other issue. Tibia is what I meant to say. Tibia. Major difference there. My wife, I know, watching this in the other room is probably like yelling at me. But anyway, it's going to be a while before that man is back, but my God, very unfortunate. And no, I'm not going to show the photo because fuck that shit. But great game offensively, of course, for Jared Goff, David Montgomery, and the rest of the Lions. 47-9 was the final score. Austin in the chat talking about Jerry Jones on what is it, 105.3, basically going to replace the entire staff just because even though Jerry Jones owns the station, the man doesn't like to be questioned about his moves because, after all, he is the owner and GM and is going to continue to stay at that position until he's dead, just because of the fact that he's still riding on the coattails of his Super Bowl victories back in the 90s. So, of course, once the once the interviewers for the station pressed him about making changes and stuff, it basically just had him fired. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. You're never going to win anything ever again as long as Jerry Jones is at the helm. That's just the way it is, man. Sorry. Sorry. Oh my God. Yeah, dude, you can't do that. You cannot do that as a who cares if you own the station? You just can't do that. You need to have more composure. And my God, it's only week 6, week 7, whatever. You're 3-3 in arguably one of the bottom feeder divisions of the National Football League. Plenty of time to get shit together and March 4th and still make the playoffs and not win an NFL championship. Um, that's just the way it is. Carry yourself, Barrett, Jerry. I'm not even really talking about this game. Bengals 17-7 over the Giants. What a snooze fest. But the Bills getting the win over the Jets. Why in God's name the Jets fired their coach at the end of last week? It didn't matter who was going to be in that position. The Bills were going to win this game regardless. And especially considering, in true Aaron Rodgers fashion, the interception he threw at the end of the game, blaming on his receiver for not running the right route. I mean, it was a pretty spectacular fucking interception by the Bills to even make. Not even 50-50. I mean, it was within like inches of just hitting the ground, not doing anything. The Jets, of course, were not going to catch it unless there was no defender nearby. But Bills covered the spread. I was very impressed with that. -2.5. So appreciate it, Austin and your team. All right. As I'd said, I went to Vegas over the weekend after our meetings in Arizona. So here's your boy wearing a Fred Jones Indiana Pacers jersey. Of course, go Ducks. I was beaming all weekend as a result of it. But I threw this photo in as a buffer for the absolute insanity that was this Vegas weekend. And from a gambling perspective, and how apparently I just need to stick to slot machines and never play table games ever again because I mean, it's not to say I'm not good at table games. I just have a difficulty keeping my money when it comes to table games. But anyway, so Friday, we all went to the airport together. My flight was a little bit later than everybody else's. It was 3:00. So I got into Vegas about 4:15. Went straight over to my friend Alex's place. So got to his house about 4:45, 4:50. And he was going to the Vegas Knights game that night because they were playing the St. Louis Blues. So it's like, all right, yeah, you already got plans going out with some of his coworkers. Enjoy the game. I'm going to stick around the strip, do some gambling, whatever, watch the game, grab a beer, something. And I'll meet up with you, after the game. So we part ways in the middle of New York, New York. If you've ever been in New York, New York, there's a center bar there. That was where we parted ways. And I was thinking about playing craps. There was a little bit of an open spot, but I was like, nah, not going to mess with it right now. Then I saw the Let It Ride table. That was completely full. Like, nah, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to go hit the slot machines because there's a small little bank of slot machines that my wife and I always like to play at. So I went over there. And surprisingly, there was only like 2 people playing at this particular bank, which so one bank is 4 machines, another bank is 4 machines. So there was one person to my left playing the one game I actually wanted to play. So it's like, all right, I'm not going to mess with that. And then on the other bank, there was somebody playing at the game that my wife usually plays. So it's like, all right, I guess I'm not going to play that. So I ended up playing this other game. And I looked around at the other machines, like, okay, which one has the highest major? And I chose the game with the highest major. So that was Sahara Gold, which is a lightning link. Usually I play high stakes, which is a lightning link, but because The major on Sahara Gold was about $300 higher. It's like, all right, I'm going to give that one a shot. So I got 5 spins in, and yeah, why not? Just hit the fucking major for $825.91. Plus an additional 20 or so dollars on top of that. So 5 spins into my trip to New York. I'm already up about $900. And I mean, I think I went in for $60. Uh I'll get to that. I'll get to that moment in a second, Austin. You're jumping ahead of the story because this is on Friday. I didn't come home until Monday at midnight. So I got a lot of time. Um, so kept bouncing around to some other machines, and I'm sorry, I said I got in for $60. I got in for $40. My apologies. So when I hit this major, like I was already up to $52.67. So I was up 12.67. And add this other 840 or so. So I'm at about $900 right now. I bounced around to some other machines just because, well, I still got time to kill and I'm getting drinks out of this. To which case, I, of course, tipped the waitress a $5 bill on my first drink. And I mean, she was just like, hey, you want another one? Hey, you want another one? Hey, you want another one? Didn't even ask for it. She just came by and just kept dropping drinks. And it's like, so I got fucked up on Friday. At Tone Cruise, I have been stupidly lucky. And my wife will tell you that. I know she loves me, but she hates me deep down because of how much I keep hitting these goddamn fucking wins on slot machines. So I end up leaving with the ticket. It was $1,000. So $40 turned into $1,000. I'm up $960. I did have it at $1,040. So I'd made an actual $1,000, but lost a little bit back. Then I played some table games, lost a little bit there. So still up like $800, $850 at this point. Once we left the casino, went back to my buddy's place, that was the end of the night. So now we're into Saturday. Well, I got some college football bets I got to make. I took Oregon on this $5 bet when Ohio State scored the first touchdown. So that's how it got up to plus 230. Threw $5 on that. What I meant to do was add it to this, but I screwed up because I meant to add LSU and Vanderbilt money lines to the same bet, which would have actually paid off like relatively handsomely. So that's how these two bets got split up. So nailed both of those. So $10 in, there's another 135 minus 10. So another $125 I made there. That was my sports betting. When we did Stadium Swim, which I'm gonna show you that photo. There we go. It's awesome. I cannot praise it enough. And there was like no douchebaggery about just some good music playing. Yes, they did play the audio of the game that was on the big TV, but in between commercials, DJ comes on, starts with some songs so people can, party and stuff like that. It was good vibes. I would 100% do it again, and I recommend anybody else to do it. So, but every NFL bet I made on Sunday, fucking sucked. Didn't win shit that day. And then I got clobbered at the tables a little bit over the next day or so. So now we're into Monday. And I woke up Monday. So hold on, I'm gonna turn this off real quick. You're just gonna see my face. Hi guys. So basically, after paying for stuff and whatever, in my wallet from the original $900 I immediately won on Friday, I woke up Monday morning, still up about $250, $260. Now, the money I had in my BetMGM account, which was about $200 that I transferred over because of that NFL bet I made a few weeks ago. So that was profit as well. So you could say I was up like 400 or whatever, but I was just talking about as far as just the cash that I had on me. A-Lab, shut up. No, I mean, I was buying drinks. I had to buy dinners, paying for Ubers and stuff. Like, get off my balls. But yeah, I got craps didn't go as well as I thought I wanted to. Let It Ride really didn't go well for me. And then because I was back at New York and New York, hit some other slot machines. And anyway, so like I said, Monday I woke up 250. So I had 500 in my wallet, the money I brought with me, plus the 250 I was up. So after my meetings on Monday, yesterday, and hitting a few bonuses actually like pretty early in the morning, for whatever reason, I went back to Let It Ride table at New York, and got crushed for the tune of about $400 out of that. And then slot machines didn't go great. And yeah, slot machines really didn't go great. So at this point, I am now $500 in the hole. And it was like 1:30 in the afternoon. And my buddy still had to work because he's a teacher. And even though it was a holiday, he had parent teacher conferences all day. So yeah, I'm suddenly 500 in the hole. And it's like, all right. So I didn't have any cash on me. So I did a full tilt thing that anybody does. And I went to the ATM, which case, yep, I got that $10 surcharge, pulled out 600 bucks just to see. Cause I still had money left at my friend's house. Like, don't worry, Austin. This is not, yes, I know how this is how people lose houses, but the money I took with me was my profits from the previous trip to Vegas, to which case I left Vegas up $3,000. So I wasn't like down money. I'm still playing with house money at this point. But yeah, I'd left the rest of my money because 750 bucks. I'm not going to lose all that. I fucking lost it. So anyway, I'm at MGM Grand. And there were two slot machines that I was trying to do because on the previous times I'd played them, I'd won $1,000 each. So that's how I lost my last $200. So now ATM, I get 600 bucks out, see what I could do with it. And just like New York, there was a bank of Lightning Link slot machines, 6 games, all consecutive. And there was only one that was open. So it's like, all right, I'll just sit at that one. Coincidentally, I noticed it also had the highest major of any of the machines on that in that bank. I don't know why, but it was. Yes, I'm not gonna lose it all. A very famous last words by me. So it was the moon race game, and threw $100 in. Let me see what I could do with it. On either side of me, I had two ladies who are from Saskatchewan, very jovial, very chatty, encouraging, whatever. Hey, good luck. I, of course, passing it back to them. One of their other friends was just racking up bonus after bonus after bonus. And so $100 in from me, I get down to about $60 and I have not seen a single bonus yet. And I'm just like, okay, what the fuck? Should I stop playing? Should I keep going? Because at some point, the heat is going to turn back on. Yeah, you're going to go through some dry spells on a slot machine, but at some point, they're going to start banging out bonuses. So finally get a fucking balls bonus on this goddamn game. And first spin in. Oh, hey, look at that. Just whack the $772 major ball. So suddenly I go from $500 in the hole to back up about $250 plus all the other balls that were in the thing there. Hey, Lab, hey, like I said, the heat comes back on. Your boy was in the hole and fucking not only climbed his way out, but put a rocket ship on his back and went to the fucking moon, baby. So yeah. I played for a little bit longer just because at that point I was finally getting drinks and just chatting. So I think during the rest of that time there, I mean, I was there for like an additional hour or so. Might have been 2 hours for all I know. I only ended up losing like $20 of the wins. So yeah. Your boy left Vegas. Oh shit. I didn't mean to turn that off. I meant to turn this off. Your boy left Vegas up about $300 or so. So which goes back to the question of that I'd asked a long time ago. Would you rather go into Vegas up, or would you rather go into Vegas down? And I would say, honestly, I would rather go into Vegas up. Would you rather go into Vegas down? And I would say, honestly, I would rather go into Vegas up. Would you rather go into Vegas up, or would you rather go into Vegas down? And I would say, honestly, I would rather go into Vegas up. Would you rather go into Vegas up, or would you rather go into Vegas down? And I would say, honestly, I would rather go into Vegas up. Would you rather go into Vegas up, or would you rather go into Vegas down? And I would say, honestly, I would rather go into Vegas up. Would you rather go into Vegas up, or would you rather go into Vegas down? And I would say, honestly, I would rather go into Vegas up. Would you rather go into Vegas up, or would you rather go into Vegas down? And I would say, honestly, I would rather go into Vegas up. Would you rather go into Vegas up, or would you rather go into Vegas down? And I would say, honestly, I would rat and then maybe slowly lose your winnings, but keep some at the end? Or would you rather get down bad at the beginning and then cash out big on the end? Because somehow I was able to pull both off on the same trip. So fucking crazy. Sub Diego says, Ben, curious on your take. Oakland Rays has a ring to it. I don't even want to fucking talk about that. Don't even suggest that. God, madness. But anyway, I do have to go back to this because I got to finish this show up. Ben's bets, baby. Last week did not go great. I thought the Saints were going to beat the Chiefs. Did not happen just because my wife and I had that parlay going, and all we needed was the Saints to win. God. Royals lost the Yankees, of course. The Lynx did beat the Sun. I was right there. But Oklahoma did not beat Texas, so that was terrible. Yeah, almost a perfect just shutout. So this week I'm going bold. My lock of the week, I've got Georgia taking down Texas in Austin. They are the underdogs because, of course, they have one loss because they lost to Bama. But I feel like Kirby Smart and company can take down the Longhorns. Guardians over the Yankees. This is more specifically in game 3. Hence why I put October 17th. I'm not saying today because Garrett Cole's on the mound for the Yankees. But the Guardians go back home for game 3. I'm taking the Guardians in game 3. Man United versus Brentford. So obviously EPL was off this last weekend. They're on this next weekend or this upcoming weekend. I've got Man United, Brentford in a draw. And then I've got the Vikings versus the Lions. I've got the Vikings winning this one. So we shall see how it goes. Anyway, that kind of wraps this up. Went a little bit longer than I expected. So now I've got to change clothes, download this, upload this, and then flip the script. I know I said I was going to do it at 5:30 West Coast time. Might be a little bit after that, but I'm still going to do it. It will be the University of Oregon versus Purdue, which is happening on Friday. Got to knock this out. And then, of course, we got recap tomorrow. So, guys, I will see you in a little bit. But as always, take it easy. And if you don't, take it sleazy. Peace.